More gaming right here.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Yeah, it's coming. More online gaming. At least that is the proposal that is this week scheduled to have been discussed in the legislature, at least in the Senate. Glad to have you in. Thanks very much for tuning in tonight. I've always wondered about what our capacity is for entertainment money, for discretionary income, to be invested in this thing that has, for decades now, been the #1 revenue producer for the state of Rhode Island outside of taxes. And we've had a long history in owning our relationship in gaming. Rhode Island actually, began with the VLTs, running it as our operation, and just had Lincoln house it. They actually earned a commission. I don't think a lot of people know that. So we're all in on gaming, and now it seems as if it's just full speed ahead, battling not only what exists in the marketplace right now, but trying to get our nose ahead of everybody else. Now, should we? It doesn't seem like there are a lot of voices talking to us about what we ought to be concerned about, but we have a go-to guy at Providence College that you're going to meet in a moment, Professor Pat Kelly, who is he's an accountancy professor, but one of his not only interest but specialization is studying the gaming industry and its impact on people and its impact on the economy. And so as we continue to grow this thing, I think we should be thinking about some of the things that he is talking about, and so we shall do that tonight. So let's go back on a story that was first published here in February that gives us a little bit of background.
Easier that you make gambling, the more problem gambling you can expect to result.
Bally's will soon submit a bill seeking state authorization of its online slots and table games. The company projects it would generate $210 million in gaming taxes for the state over 5 years. That's if slots were taxed at 51% and table games at 18%, which is higher than the industry average.
I think it should be taxed the same rate as everything else is taxed, the way we get our revenue from the lottery.
During a taping of Newsmakers Friday, Senate President Dominic Ruggiero said he's met with Bally's and he's very supportive of the idea.
I am totally unfamiliar with iGaming or e-gaming, as it's called, but I think it provides a convenience for the public. I think people don't have to go up to the to either one of the two facilities in Rhode Island. They can wager from home.
I'm very concerned about that.
Pat Kelly is an accounting professor at Providence College, but has been studying casinos and problem gambling for a long time.
Nobody ever walked into a casino and said, okay, I'm going to end up as a problem gambler. But in far too many cases, it's happened. And it's happening now with sports betting, and it's got the potential to happen with iGaming too.
As state lawmakers plan to consider Bally's proposal, Kelly says they have an obligation to support problem gambling prevention and treatment programs like financial literacy training and addiction services.
We offer help for those people who need help. We have a toll-free number. The casino offers help to people. The last thing they want to see is people getting addicted.
Yeah, listen, I believe the Senate President, when he talks in good faith about wanting to see people survive their entertainment, right? But this is the biggest, I think this is one of the biggest lightning rod, third rail experiments that we have going. Professor, good to see you. You were already on our package. I'll reintroduce you. As a professor of accountancy at PC, you study what in general, to remind everybody?
I look at different aspects of gambling. Started back with casinos, and what really got me into this was back in 2008. I saw a lot of folks that were committing frauds in their workplace, hence the accounting angle. and they were all addicted to gambling. And so I started looking at this and wrote a paper, Casino Gambling and Workplace Fraud, a Cautionary Tale for Managers, that was published in 2010 and has now been downloaded over 2,000 times because it's an issue. And people have really, and since then, I've been looking at state revenues and some of the public interest issues, because that's what's driving all of this, is state revenue. It's a state-by-state approval process. And so that's what's driving it. But we've also looked at, okay, how much are you putting in for problem gambling prevention and treatment programs? Not enough. And so I'm going to continue to, and now it's sports betting, and now it's online gambling, and it's going to keep going. So I got lots to do.
Well, the 2008 exercise that you went through in the 2010 publication were the catalyst for our conversations in the past. And rather than get into the nitty-gritties on this gaming issue yet, let's talk about and go backwards a little bit and talk about what you found and the nature of this. You'll read the occasional story in the paper about the manager of a company that is up on some kind of larceny charge, or occasionally we'll see it in public life at the municipal level. Somebody who's working with tax revenues and making deposits and all that kind of stuff. Suddenly, after a usual lengthy period of time, is found to have been dipping. More often than not, it is a response to a need because of gaming issues.
For many of these cases that we profiled, yes. And so what I did is we looked at 16 cases, primarily in southeastern Connecticut. That's where Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods were established. One of them was the tax collector from Ledger, Connecticut, which was Foxwoods' home community, who stole over $300,000 over a 4-year period, and had a substantial amount of money on her wampum card, about $900,000 on her wampum card at Foxwoods. And so that was
dollars or points? Points, right? Or points.
And so,
the points come with the money that you spend in the benefits for the hotel room and merchandise and all that kind of thing, right?
So we started looking at this and found a theme: nonprofits, government organizations, smaller organizations that didn't have the internal controls and maybe the thorough audits. And the problem was, everybody thinks, well, the audit's going to catch the fraud if there's any fraud here. That's not necessarily the case. And so management has to be, because if lots of times if people are not going in and looking for fraud, if you tell an auditor there's fraud there, they'll go find it. But a lot of times you go through and you're, okay, what happened last year? Is there anything different? A lot of times the people, it's smaller organizations, so the people know the system inside and out. And so an auditor comes in.
Sometimes they built the system.
Right. And so that's that's what we try to bring to light in that paper. Since then, we've written a paper, and it recently got published, about what auditors should be doing in casino regions, because there's increased audit risk associated with the audits that they're doing, particularly in smaller organizations and nonprofits, where you may not have the segregation of duties and the separation of control.
Meaning casino comes into your region.
Right.
What, 50-mile radius?
Right, yeah, within 50 miles, the research suggests the problem gambling rate's going to double. And so
say that slowly. The problem gambling rate will double inside a 50-mile radius.
And so let's think about this for a second. In 1988, you had casinos in Atlantic City. That was it. 92, Foxwoods opened. All right, so draw the 50-mile rings. Now, you can start north of Boston. Let's start the 50-mile rings. Start north of Boston, go right down 95, or take, we got Massachusetts, Connecticut, now New York, all the way down to south of DC. Almost everybody lives within 50 miles of a casino. That's an issue.
So have we had, in the last, 10 years or so, a doubling of the problem gambling rate?
It's
and
hard
how do we measure that?
It's hard to measure, because in some cases, a lot of times problem gambling doesn't get reported. In some cases, it gets reported through a hotline. One of the things with sports betting, we've seen a substantial increase in calls to hotlines after sports betting. And so what's happened, and so I think we're going down this path. Okay,
you ain't stopping this locomotive.
No
right?
way.
No.
You're not going to stop it. What my point is, everybody needs to understand what this means and what can we do about it. And so that's
this meaning the growth of the gaming.
The growth of gaming and the growth of problem gambling that's associated with gaming.
All right, when we come back, we'll break out some of the, the new developments, and talk about what the exponential issues might be. Stay with us.
That's what it is.
I think it provides a convenience for the public. I think people don't have to go up to the to either one of the two facilities in Rhode Island. They can wager from home.
Senate President Ruggiero. Now listen, he is credited with breaking the ice for sports gaming here in Rhode Island, and there are more people than not watching this program who are supportive of that. And I have to tell you, Professor, I, as an avid sports fan, made many editorial comments about my worry about the authenticity of fanship, combined with gaming and the like. And 3-4 years later, I got 2 gaming apps on my phone. In fact, Alex, can we post the sports bet graphic there? The Rhode Island sports bet app is something that, from a competitive point of view, this is not your bailiwick, but I should mention it because the Senate President and I agreed on this on a radio program earlier this week, is, well, it may have been the first in the region, but it is an underperforming app right now and does not provide all of the toys, bells, whistles, in-game, all that kind of stuff that sports fans want. So from a competitive point of view, we got an interesting thing going on here. The Massachusetts choices are better. And so we better catch up because already we're losing percentages of business off that sports book. And that's the state revenue picture thing. I just think that we probably got to spend some more time talking about that in the future. But that I'm watching that and comparing the products and am now all in tells me something. Now, do I have a problem with gambling? I don't think I need to go to any meetings. In fact, when I win some money, I take it out of the account, I put it in my checking account, and I keep I get bored with it really fast. College basketball, you're a fan, a big Friar fan.
Go Friars.
I've made some good money there. It's kind of if I have a spectator expertise, it's that. But I have friends who are smart enough not to get the app because they're afraid of their behavior. And then I have a couple buddies who I watch with the app and I think, holy cow, what are they doing?
Right.
This is exponentially the phone and online sports gaming, the entree to now other online gaming, which we need to talk about, has grown this thing by how many leaps and bounds?
Many. It's big difference in terms of the potential. If you are going to have to go to, look what happened when if you had to go to Bally's or one of the facilities and bet.
To go bet the Kentucky Derby.
Right.
For years, I used to enjoy running up. I need 2 hours because I have to get over to the casino and get everybody's bets in. This weekend, I did it all on the phone for everybody.
Right.
They Venmoed me money. I put it into them. Right.
And so it's so much easier. And from my perspective, the easier you make gambling, the more it can contribute to problem gambling. And so for your friends that are like, hey, I'm not doing this, that's fine. They're making a good decision. Most of the people who end up betting, even on their phones, are not going to end up as problem gamblers. The problem is the folks that do, because every problem gambler can negatively impact 6 other people: a spouse, children, people they work with, and I'll go one more. Any problem gambler that's got access to a lot of money, let's say you're a controller in an accounting operation in a firm, you could impact thousands of people.
And your point during the commercial break when we were talking about fraud in businesses and the 50-mile radius worry and all that kind of stuff, one of the things, pardon me, one of the things that one of the things you said, sorry for the distraction, was that the cases are probably underreported because business owners they may fire somebody, but they're not pressing charges because they don't want the publicity.
Right. And especially if it's a smaller dollar amount, as soon as anything happens where workplace fraud, somebody steals, And if they're going to get prosecuted, it's going to be front page news. For any regional paper, it's right on the front page. And that can have negative ramifications for businesses. So there are instances where somebody finds out, okay, I've got somebody who just stole money, it was a smaller amount, they fire them and they don't report it. And so I think you have to, it's a little tricky in terms of getting data. You have to look at calls to hotlines, how many people are seeking treatment. But I'm also concerned a lot of folks don't seek treatment because they might be working in a position where I don't want to tell anybody that I've got a problem. I just got to try to deal with this, and that's a problem too. And so I think there's a lot. If we're gonna go down this path, and we're going, there's a lot that we have to do to address it.
All right, so sports gaming, jumps on the phone.
Right.
Now, blackjack and poker are pending. This is actually the catalytic conversation for this show today. You're even more worried about that.
Well, you know what? So I am worried about it because people and it's 4 years ago I was here and I said they're going to have it's state versus state. Everybody's going to have casinos, everybody's going to have sports betting, and everybody's going to have marijuana sales. I didn't even think about this, but I should have said that too.
Meaning the online application to the table gaming. Yeah.
Because Connecticut's got it now. All right. The commercials that are running in Connecticut is take Mohegan Sun home with you on your phone or on your computer. All right. You're making gaming easier, making gambling easier. You can expect to have an increase in problem gambling. And so now, I'm more concerned short term. I mean, this is going. So my guess is it's going to be approved in Rhode Island because they want to compete with Connecticut.
They want to be first.
Yeah, and they're not first. They're going to be second. But they still want to.
Connecticut is doing that with Mohegan. Okay.
And Foxwoods.
Yeah.
So it's statewide.
I tend to think more about the Commonwealth than Connecticut.
But if Massachusetts sees any success in Rhode Island, they're going to do exactly what they did with sports betting. They're going to jump in with both feet and do online gambling as well. So I am more concerned. So I'm concerned about it because you're making gambling easier. It's going to be.
What's the ratio of money? Was it you who told me in the past that there's supposed to be a ratio of expenditure for problem gaming prorated to the gross revenues?
Yes, it was basically the National Council on Problem Gambling recommends 1%. So if
we're not doing that.
No. But there was a paper that we did in 2017 that we looked at it. We're gonna do an update to that paper this summer. That paper had only 2 states. New Jersey was one, and Massachusetts, which was just starting gambling. They had invested, but they hadn't seen the revenue yet. So they were 2. Nobody else was even close. And so that's number one, right? If you're going to get $300 million for Rhode Island, right, take 1% of it and invest it in prevention and treatment programs.
I think the percentage is more like 1/10 of 1%.
Back in those days it was, and so it's higher now. It's probably it's about maybe less than 0.5.
All right, so let's talk. So
it's small.
At the end of the day, you only have so much money to gamble.
Right.
So whether you can get access to your phone or whether you traipse up to Bally's, you are still only with X amount of dollars.
Right.
So are we crying wolf here?
I don't think so. And here's the thing.
Just the choices, obviously, this makes it easier to spend that money where you might say, hey, let's just go out to dinner. I don't know. A lot of what you're saying, it makes common sense to me. I think people are watching this going, this whole conversation is duh. Like, duh.
It's not,
right?
It's not complicated.
Yeah.
It's just not complicated. The states want more revenue.
But you're the only one kind of saying it. Yeah.
That's okay. I was in the Coast Guard for 20 years.
I just think it's important that we kind of say, well, no kidding. We grow gambling, we're going to grow problems.
And here's the thing. As you experience more problems that you're going to get, my point is you need to recognize that there are things that we could be doing to address it. And am I concerned about online gaming? Yes. I'm more concerned about sports betting right now. Because sports betting right now,
all the leagues have just bought into it and owned it.
That train is like heading down the track so quickly. But I'm concerned about the profile of the sports bettors. They're going to have problems with gambling, males between 20 and 35, well-educated, employed, their friends sports bet, can be a little impulsive. They think they know everything there is to know about sports, and they're going to have problems. They're going to have problems.
And you also have a message for parents. We'll talk about that when we come back. Last thought, stay with us. So, Professor, with this profile of the 20 to 35-year-old young man who might have some disposable income, there's probably a few of them at PC. We don't want to put PC in the fire, but you're seeing kids all the time, and you have a message for parents.
Yeah, I do have a message for parents. Given the profile and all the sports betting that's happening on college campuses these days, when your son or daughter comes back from college, and it's going to happen in the next few weeks here, ask them about sports betting. Say, hey, I was here in the Dan Yorke show. They were talking about sports betting. What's sports betting like on your campus? And ask them about it and see what it's like. And I think that starting that conversation and talking about some of the potential problems is a really important conversation for parents to have with college-age students.
What are you hearing on the ground?
Well, put it this way. I've got a friend who teaches at a college in Massachusetts. She asked me to zoom into her class when Massachusetts started with the mobile sports betting. There were so many commercials on Massachusetts. It was all her students were talking about. She goes, I know what you do. Can you zoom into my class and talk about the whole aspect of gambling and casinos and accounting and let's talk about it. And yeah, it's an issue. If any college campus tells you it's not an issue, they're not paying attention.
Just add that to the list of things that we have to societally be concerned about. But you're right, college kids think they own the world anyway.
But there's things that we can do in terms of financial literacy, education. I'm an accounting educator. There's things that we can do. Education makes a difference.
All right, thanks for your advocacy. So, hey, listen, as we grow this online gambling, I think we certainly got to pay attention. Final word when we come back. Stay with us. Online gaming is only one of the things happening at the legislature that have us all watching. So we're going to pay a lot of attention to what's going on Smith Hill over the next few weeks, no doubt. The EACA issue on the abortion matter. We've got new regulation for mandatory electric vehicle. The whole thing. It's a busy summer to be, or spring at least, in Rhode Island. See ya.